It's spooky season. Time to draw all of my OCs as spooky. And in this spooky time, I'm going to be talking about villain AUs and making alternate universes in general for your own story. So, in case you somehow didn't know what an alternate universe was, watch Watch Marvel's What Ifs. Those are basically all alternate universes or alternate timelines. Yeah. Anyway, and this drawing is of Malcolm from the Villain AU. Now, I already have at least 9 AUs where it's like different settings or different things happen. So, for example, the actor AU is where all of the characters are actually actors for a movie. They're not actually living these lives as these characters. They're actors. And the interactions that I get to write between the main heroes and the antagonists as a result of this are fun. And other AUs where something different just happens. So for the villain AU specifically, there are certain different circumstances that the heroes are put in that drives them to the other choice. And for Malcolm, it requires context of who he is as a person. Because Malcolm in the original series is a very non-violent character. He'd prefer not to use violence to solve problems. And whenever violence is used to solve a problem, he'd choose out the person who did it, saying it was like a necessary or bad choice unless there was no other option. So say self-defense. But this version of Malcolm, as you see in the final illustration, he has a scar across down his face. And the only reason it's actually not crossing his eye is because, number one, I don't want poor Malcolm to be blind in one eye from a knife fight. And two, his eyes in this AU, all of their eyes are more sunken in. So his brow bone and cheek protected his eye, basically. That, and he closed his eyes when it happened. In the original, I also had one going across his nose, and I thought that was too extra, so I kept the 2 tiny little cuts on his lip and the one down his brow. Going back to what I said earlier about having different AUs where just like a different situation happens, it's kind of like the villain AU, but also on a much smaller scale. Because I experimented with, this is actually how 2 of my characters actually are alive when Hearts of Color take place instead of dead. Because in the prologue, a few characters are killed. And so I had a thought of what if they didn't die, what if they lived? And then she gets to be in the story. And the whole reason that is canon now is because I thought of it as an alternate timeline. And then I liked it so much that I decided to write it into the story and make it a part of the story. So that's another reason why you should explore different options. It's kind of like with drawing in a way where you have multiple ideas and you want to look into each one because maybe one is better than the other, or maybe one is like this one right here is this drawing of Malcolm shows his more subtle intimidation, but I could like if you can't see, he has a knife strapped to his belt with a gem on it, so it's technically a double-sided blade, and he uses that in combat a lot. But yeah, how else do you think he got the scars on his face? Anyway, but he can definitely, this version of him anyway, can definitely win in a fight. Also, something to keep in mind when you're designing characters and putting them in different timelines or different circumstances is imagine how they would be different. So with Malcolm, the gem on his knife is in the original timeline. They're earrings from his in-laws. So his sister-in-law and brother-in-law came together to make him a pair of gem earrings. But in this timeline, the brother gave him the knife with the gem on it. I don't know what the sister would give him in this timeline, but basically his brother-in-law gave him the knife. I think the sister probably would have crafted the knife or picked out the gem, and the brother would have decided on what kind of blade it would be. But yeah, think of like the little small things as well. How will their style change? How will their colors change? Like in the original, Malcolm wears a lot of light blues and like sky blues and loose-fitting clothing. And in this picture, he is wearing like a cape kind of wrapped over his torso and down, but also underneath that is I don't know if you could see in the sketch, but it's a V-neck mid-sleeve shirt and, I don't know, regular pants and fingerless gloves. So it's definitely a lot edgier than the, I guess, soft boy clothes he usually wears. Which I have a lot of edgy characters, so I'm actually taking another stab at the 30-day OC challenge, so keep an eye out for that as well. It's going to be very difficult, though, because one of them is newest OC, and I'm just like, But yeah, I also gave his hair a different style. I gave his bangs make an M shape, and it's a lot more sharp, pointy, and long than the fluffy, short little tufts of hair. I almost said fluff, but they're more tufts of hair, and his hair is also longer. His hair is quote-unquote long, but to me it's not long. Like his hair stops like right below his ears originally, but in this one it's just like a tiny bit longer, and by tiny bit longer I literally just mean stops where like his shoulder blades are, like where his shoulders are. So like, is that longer? No. But for a guy, yes. But to me, no. But I hope you enjoyed this ramble about alternate universes while watching me draw evil Malcolm. Yeah, here's the finished piece. I loved this drawing so much. Bye.